For weeks now, every major news outlet has been talking about Trump's 50% tariff on India and what it could mean for us. Earlier this year, China blocked rare earth exports to India. Now, while ties with Beijing might look a little better right now, one thing is clear. 2025 has been the year of India experiencing turmoil with its first and second largest trading partners, the US and China, respectively. But if there's one relationship that may still be in its blossoming first days, then it's with the UAE. If you didn't know, the UAE is India's third largest trading partner. And given the highs and lows of India's relationships elsewhere, it may soon surpass China to become our second largest partner. In fact, after the two countries signed an economic partnership in 2022, trade between them grew to $100 billion in FY25. The thing is, of the 11,000 companies in Jafsa, that's the Jebel Ali Free Zone, a major free economic zone in Dubai, 2,300 are Indian. Tata, for instance, already has a sprawling presence, from a steel flooring facility in Jafsa to luxury hotels like the Taj Exotica in Dubai. And Tata's not alone. Himalaya Wellness, the personal care and pharma company, Omega Seiki Mobility or OSM, an electric vehicle maker, Jindal Saw, the iron and steel pipe manufacturer. They are all going to be joining this shift soon. And they are just a few of the many Indian firms setting up fully operational manufacturing bases across the UAE's free trade zones. You see, the UAE has been turning barren desert into competitive global hubs for a while, for tourism, for technology, and now for manufacturing. India has tried its own version with special economic zones and Gift City, which is the Gujarat International Finance Tech City. But if you put the results in comparison, India has almost 300 operational SEZs with around more than 6,000 companies. The UAE, well, it's roughly the same size as the state of Bihar and has only 40 free trade zones. But guess how many companies? More than 200,000. The contrast is striking. A former diplomat previously stationed in the Middle East told my colleague, the Ken reporter Suprita Nupam, that the India UAE relationship is truly a trade driven partnership, even if India is currently running a deficit. In fact, it took just 88 days for the countries to negotiate a CEPA, or the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Think of CEPA as the next level free trade deal. It doesn't just cover goods, but also services, investment, intellectual property, and more. Of course, Indian companies are responding to this budding romance because they also have plenty of other financial incentives to look forward to. But in the rush to use Dubai as a global launchpad, could they be leaving their biggest market behind? Welcome to Daybreak, a business podcast from the Ken. I'm your host Rachel Verghese, and every day of the week, my co-host Snikta Sharma and I will bring you one news story that is worth understanding and worth your time. Today is Wednesday, the 10th of September. Now, CEPA truly broadened the scope of the India UAE relationship beyond trade. And the result? UAE now offers Indian manufacturers unparalleled advantages over other global trade hubs such as Singapore and Qatar. These advantages are basically things like tax free zones, world class infrastructure, and a very strong port system. But actually, the most significant incentive is not logistical but financial. Uday Narang, the founder and CEO of OSM, told us that Dubai offers easy access to regional and international capital, making it an ideal base for scaling operations at speed. The company is now set to invest $25 million in an EV manufacturing plant in Jafsa. The incentive also comes in the form of financial backing from UAE's sovereign wealth funds, joint ventures, or loans. For instance, before Lenskart's Dubai factory became operational in 2024, Sovereign Wealth Fund Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, or ADIA, had invested $500 million in it. There's also the case of Triton EV, an electric vehicle manufacturer headquartered in the US with major operations in India. They have landed a pretty big deal with UAE sports car maker W Motors. Triton is to begin building vehicles for W in the UAE by 2026. But these are not just isolated partnerships. There's a much bigger financial story at play. The UAE has pledged $75 billion in Indian infrastructure and has already anchored $1 billion in India's sovereign wealth fund. That's the NIIF, or National Infrastructure Investment Fund. They have even set up an ADIA office in Gift City with a $5 billion commitment. And it isn't just infrastructure. UAE based funds are backing Indian startups as well, not only as late stage investors, but also as limited partners in early stage VC firms like Bloom Ventures, Stellaris, and IdeaSpring. Now, compare this with India's other relationships. US foreign direct investment fell to $5 billion in FY24, down by nearly three times the original number. Chinese investment has also collapsed from an annual average of nearly $900 million between 2016 and 2020 to just roughly $70 million right now. And unlike the UAE, both the US and China often set conditions, whether it's China blocking rare earth exports or the US slapping 50% tariffs on India for buying Russian oil. In that light, the India UAE partnership stands out for both its breadth and its stability. As that former diplomat told us, and as we mentioned earlier, it wouldn't be surprising if the UAE soon surpasses China to become India's second largest trading partner. But here's the question: as more Indian manufacturers head to Dubai, is this just clever strategy or could it signify the beginning of a brain drain? Stay tuned. India's ties with the UAE go back much further than this recent manufacturing wave. In fact, they stretch all the way back to the 1980s, when wealthy Indian businessmen first set up operations in Dubai and later expanded back into India. Take the Lulu Group, the multinational retail chain founded by M.A. Yusuf Ali from Kerala, or billionaire Ravi Pillai's RP Group, with businesses spanning construction, healthcare, and hospitality. There's also the Danube Group, the trading company founded by Rizwan Sarjan. All of these companies began their rise in the Gulf before turning into global players. So, what happens when newer Indian manufacturers build in Dubai today? According to Jitesh Agarwal, founder and CEO of Tree Life Consulting, there's a catch. Products made by Indian companies in Dubai count as UAE exports, not Indian ones. That doesn't just lower India's export numbers. It also means that advanced manufacturing capabilities and knowledge clusters that should develop in India will develop in Dubai instead. This would slow down India's push into high value manufacturing. But according to the former diplomat, there are some limits to the setup, and they are clear. Indian manufacturers may be using Dubai to sell to global markets, but that doesn't discount the size and importance of the Indian market itself. And for the most part, most companies will likely keep key manufacturing units here in India. Lenskart, for example, produces hardly 1% of its total products in its Dubai plant. According to the VC partner from earlier, it could go up to 5%, but no more. Similarly, Himalaya Wellness continues to see India as a key market, even as it establishes its global presence in hubs like the UAE. Also, Omega Seki's Dubai plant is set to manufacture 200 EVs a month and employ 100 people, while its manufacturing capability in Faridabad near Delhi is more than 1,000 EVs a month with a headcount of 500 employees. The implication is clear. A leveraging of Dubai's resources doesn't mean these companies are leaving India behind. In fact, far from it. For its part, India is making the most out of this partnership on the political side. At the Johannesburg Summit in 2023, it strongly supported UAE's membership to the BRICS. The two countries are also partners in platforms like the India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor and the I2U2 group with Israel and the US. And when India hosted the G20 Summit in 2023, the UAE was invited as a guest country. All of this shows how the India UAE relationship has become both broader and deeper. And while Indian companies setting up plants in Dubai may change the way that the world sees India's manufacturing ambitions, there's another angle as well. Exposure to Dubai's efficiency and speed might actually sharpen India's own manufacturing story.
Daybreak is produced from the newsroom of The Ken, India's first subscriber-focused business news platform. What you're listening to is just a small sample of our subscriber-only offerings. A full subscription offers daily long-form feature stories, newsletters, and a whole bunch of premium podcasts. To subscribe, head to theken.com and click on the red subscribe button on the top of the Ken website. Today's episode was hosted and produced by my colleague Rachel Varghese and edited by Rajiv Sien.